going to be happening today. Let me tell you where all the questions are going to be answered. Let me share with you where I'm going to drop some goodies. Let me share where the golden nuggets are. Let me share how you can connect with other folks. Let me tell you a website you can go to. You connect with me there. It's called virtualnetworkinglive.com. So open up a browser right now and go to you see it right there, www.virtualnetworkinglive.com. And here's what I like for you to do. I like for you to go ahead and put in your first name, put in your last name, tell us where you're from, and more importantly, tell us what you do. Let me know that you're here. I'm really excited that you're here today. Now, you might be saying, Shay, what's going to happen? What's going on? Well, today it's going to be about building your audience on autopilot. And I'm so excited and looking forward to connecting with you. So please share your questions with me. We're going to have just a fantastic time. Now, the topic today, audience autopilot. How to build your audience on autopilot. How to build over 10,000 qualified, highly qualified leads. And what are all the secrets to do it? Not a first time, not a second time, but a third time. Do it over and over and over again. And today, I'm going to reveal those secrets to you. Now, you might be wondering, Shay, is this presentation for me? Shay, should I listen in? Shay, should I grab some water? Yes. Shay, should I get my notes? Yes. Shay, should I make sure my iPad is charged up or my phone is charged up because that's how you're taking notes? The answer to that question is yes. So how do you know if this presentation is for you? Why should you listen in? Well, let me share with you. You know this presentation is for you if you're shy in front of the camera. Now, maybe you don't like to be in front of the camera, and that's fine. Or maybe you want to be in the camera, or you want to be in front of the camera more, but for whatever reason, it's just not possible for you to do that. Then this presentation is for you. Now, this presentation is also for you if you struggle to become an expert as a subject matter expert. So you really struggle. You've tried. You've been working hard. You've put up some blog posts, perhaps. You've been speaking. You even did some videos. You've even shared your best ideas. And you're still struggling with that. You're like, Shay, I want to be seen as an expert at what I do. Then this presentation is for you. Please tune in. Now, if you're ready to stop speaking, I will say at the local library, although there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, I used to speak at the library all the time. I loved it. Or you're ready to get out of the small business offices, no problem. I was there as well. Or you're ready to get out of your local neighborhood. If you want to get your brand in front of larger audiences, this presentation, what I'm going to be talking about, this is for you. This is just a conversation between you and I today, and I'm so glad you're here. You're going to be glad you're here as well. Now, this presentation is for the person right now, and if you just don't want to sound salesy, okay, I get it. You're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, and you have a resistance to selling, but even if you don't have resistance, you've embraced it. You said, Shay, I understand this is what I have to do, but I don't want to come across as salesy. No problem. You hang in there with you. Now, if you want to build your virtual speaking platform, you want to be able to have some you, not their revenue. You want to be able to share your message, and you want to do it virtually, hang in there. This presentation, what I'm about to share with you, is for you. And if you don't want to come across as pushy, this presentation is for you. Or even if you believe you have the potential inside of you to perform at a higher level, you know that deep, deep down inside, you can get to that level. See, you have your target, you know your goal, you're staring straight ahead, and you're trying to hit it. You're like, Shay, I know I can get there, but I'm just missing a few pieces. Okay, maybe you got 3 pieces of the combination dialed in. It's wired. You got 3 of them. But you're missing that one piece. In building your audience, this is the one piece for you. Now, you might be asking yourself, Shay, why should I listen? Shay, why should I pay attention? Now, who are you, by the way? Well, let me tell you a little about myself and our company, and then I'm going to go into the 2 outcomes I have for the time that we're going to be here today. A little bit about myself. I'm a native Washingtonian. I've only worked for 2 companies my entire career, by the way. I worked for Citibank after undergraduate, and I went to Morgan State, which is in Baltimore, Maryland, and I didn't do sales. And then after finishing graduate school, I went to Johns Hopkins University, which is also in Baltimore, Maryland, and I worked for Verizon for the next 9 years. And I didn't do sales there either. And then back on May 31st, 2004, Verizon gave me the pink slip, or they laid me off. And perhaps you know someone who's been laid off. I mean, these are very challenging times. I believe we're still in uncharted waters. So I decided to do something bold, something different, something adventurous. So I take my little small severance check from Verizon. That night, I went down to Kinko's, by the way. I had some business cards made up. And the very next day I was in business, my card just said Shea Brown on it. And I called myself a business consultant. And believe it or not, I hung my shingle. Maybe you understand this. I hung my shingle out the door, and I kind of got started. And then after about maybe 90 days in business, I was tired. I was frustrated. I was really struggling to get clients. Maybe you can relate to that. And so, because I didn't know how to sell, and then I ran out of money. And a number of things happened along the way. Let me just share a few, just a little bit about myself, a few things that happened. First thing that happened is I found myself in a situation I didn't think I would. Let me ask this question. Have you ever, listen closely to me, have you ever been in love? Think about that. I know the answer is yes, you have. But I want you to imagine for a moment, if you would, losing the love of your life, not once, but twice. And so I went through 2 divorces. And when you go through a divorce, if you've been through one, you feel me right here. And if you haven't been through one, maybe you work with someone, or you had a family member and you know what that's like, or you had a breakup one day. And so that was tough. And then my sons, they decided they want to live with me. I have 2, they're grown sons now. They wanted to come live with me and stay with me. And then not having any money, trying to do the right thing, trying to be a dad, trying to be an entrepreneur, I found myself in a situation where I still wasn't bringing in any sales. Until I look out one day and my sons are there and I'm watching my truck get repossessed. And that's tough. It's tough not having an automobile. If you haven't been there, I hope you never find yourself in that situation. And then shortly after that, bankruptcy, a very public bankruptcy. So those were very challenging times. And I had to kind of step back and try to decide, is this what I wanted to do? Did I want to be an entrepreneur? Was it the right thing for me? And I believe it was. And I decided I wasn't going to give up. And here's something that I learned. Jot this down in your notes. Please put this in your notes. And we're going to share some great content, but I don't want you to miss this. Put this in your notes. Here it is. Winners never quit. Just jot that down in your notes. Here's the one lesson that I learned going through all this, is that winners never quit. Why? Because it's possible that when you learn the right ideas, you have the right system, you have the right structure and the right mentors, that you can live your dream. And that's what I wanted to do. So a number of years ago, almost 8 years ago now, I started doing what you're doing right now. I went out and I studied some of the best in my field. And some of the big names out there. The big names out there would be like a Tony Robbins or a Les Brown or even Zig Ziglar. I mean, he's no longer with us, at least not in body, but I believe he will always be here in spirit. And then about maybe 9 years ago, the number one salesman, in my opinion, came into my life to mentor and train me to success, and his name was Eric Lofholm, and he gave me an idea. And here's something I learned. Jot this down in your notes, because there's nothing more powerful than a good idea whose time has come. He said, Shane, why don't you focus on sales training? I said, sales training? I'm a business consultant, right? That's what my card said. But the reality was no one anywhere was really teaching me to do any business consulting at all. I was sharing the same ideas I was learning, and I was sharing them with everyday folks who were just like me. And here's what I learned, that selling is a learned skill. Jot that down in your notes. Please put that in your notes right now. Selling is a learned skill. We can all learn to sell. So I applied those principles in my business. First of all, we stayed in business. That was number one. And then we hired people. And then we leased office space. And then I started teaching those same sales ideas to everyday people who were just like me. And by the way, in case you don't notice, I'm just like you. That's right. I'm still in the field every day. I got my sleeves rolled up. I'm down in the trenches. I mean, I know what it's like to live on 100% commission. So our company now is in its 11th year of business. I mean, all the time, full time. That's important. All the time, full time. And the mission of Peak Performance Institute is to help people make more sales with less effort. And so one of the ways to do that is that we had to build an audience. Another way that we had to do that is we had to find a way to do it a second time and a third time and a fourth time. So that's a little bit about myself and my company. And I'm going to share step by step, not only what we've been able to do as a company, but what many of our clients have been able to do. And here's the good news. If they can do it, so can you. So I'm so excited. You're here at the right time, at the right place. This message is 100% for you. I just can't wait. So I really have two outcomes for our presentation today, two outcomes. My number one outcome is to provide value, to share with you step by step what you need to do in order to build your audience on autopilot. And that's my number one outcome. And I'm confident at the end of our time together that you're going to walk away with at least one idea that you can use immediately to generate more qualified leads. And I want you to imagine for a moment, how would your business be if you were able to generate as many qualified leads as possible? How much extra income would you be able to generate? And I don't know what the number is, but I can tell you right now, you hang in there just a little while longer, and I want to unveil all of the secrets. I mean, look, today's going to be just a good day of your time. I just can't wait. And my second outcome is really to introduce an opportunity for you and I to stay in this conversation. And we got something really special at the very end that we're going to be able to share with you. Now, there are really three ways to elevate your sales results, and there are three ways to elevate your lead generation systems. And there's three ways really to generate an audience on autopilot. Let me go ahead and share these three ways. It's the philosophy of our company, it's what we believe, it's what we teach, and it flat out works. And it comes to working with literally thousands of sales professionals and countless companies, but it always boils down to one of these three ways, or sometimes it's a combination of all three. And here they are. We call it the inner game, and that's your mindset. That's your belief system. So right now, as you're listening to me, there's a mindset you have like, okay, is it possible, Shay, that I can really generate 10,000 leads on autopilot? Yes, that's the answer. There's a mindset, Shay, I've tried a lot of things that didn't work. Duh-rah, so have I. That's not one of those things. And I understand that. There's a mindset. But today we're going to shift that mindset. And we're going to share with you how you can have the mindset and the belief that there are too many leads. Jot that down in your notes. There are too many leads. I can't help everybody. That's a mindset you can have right now. And then the second fundamental way to really increase your sales results and to generate leads on autopilot is the outer game. Now, the outer game is the tactical side of selling. The tactical side of selling. In selling, it really boils down to what you say, when you say it, and how you say it. And today, we're going to unveil what you need to say, how you need to say it, and when you need to say it to generate an unlimited abundance of leads. And not only do it one time, but to do it what? On autopilot. That's right, on autopilot. That's exactly what we're going to be sharing. And then the third fundamental way to increase your sales results is action, A-C-T-I-O-N. And action is just moving yourself to follow through and do all those things that you know you should do right now in your business. It's one thing to intellectually know to do something. It's another thing to actually do it. And so today we're going to talk about, okay, Shay, intellectually I get it. I have the right mindset. I can generate unlimited leads. Yes, you can. And I believe it. Even if you don't believe it, I'm going to believe it. I'm going to hold the belief for you. Number two, there's a system that I can use, Shay. A step-by-step approach. There's a strategy. There are best practices. You're going to reveal those? Yes, I am. And then the third way is action. You're going to be able to take action on what we're talking about today, and that's what's going to make a huge difference for you. So here's the number one takeaway. Now, I should say the takeaway. It's probably one of the top 5 ideas I'm going to share right now, is that you can make a difference and a fortune sharing your advice or your area of expertise. Jot that down in your notes. Even if you don't believe that, put this down in your notes right now. You can make a difference and a fortune sharing your advice with other folks. You can be a subject matter expert. Now think about this. You've learned some lessons. You've taken some courses. You've worked with some mentors. You've been through some trials. And you want to share that with someone else so they can be better off today than they were when they first met you. Now, what's one of the ways to do it? Well, we're going to talk about shortly what podcasting is, what it represents, and how you can use that to build an audience on autopilot. Podcast is simply a way for you to communicate your message from one, that's you, to many. Jot that down in your notes. Communicate your message from what? From one, that's yourself, to many people. And how to be able to do it in an effective, in an efficient way, but in a systematic way that positions you as a subject matter expert and allows those of you that want to be paid at the exact same time. We'll get into that in just a little bit, because the question you have to ask as a speaker, as an author, as a coach, as an entrepreneur is, how do I grow my business with this, Jay? how do I do that? I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about the 7 reasons why every entrepreneur should at least start a podcast. Now, okay, even if right now you're thinking, Shay, I don't know about that. I'm not even that familiar with it. I mean, no, just hang in there. I'm going to share at least 7 reasons. Just 7 reasons why every entrepreneur should start a podcast. Let me give you reason number 1. Reason number 1 is that it's popular, is that it works, right? It works. It allows you to go one to many. It's something that I've done. It's something that a number of folks have done, and I'm going to share those stories in just a minute. Number 2, because it allows you to be yourself, to be authentic, and to also use your own personality right now as you're talking to folks and to be able to move them forward. And that's going to be important. So now it's popular. Number 2, you can be yourself. And number three, there are 3 reasons, I'm going to give you 7, is you can reach a worldwide audience. You can go a lot further, not only where you're standing, but reach a broader audience. And what would that mean to you right now? If you're able to get in front of more qualified folks and at least share how you solve those problems, what would that mean for you right now? Number 4, and this is the most important one. I mean, this is my favorite one, is monetization. Now, you're a speaker, got it. You're an author, got it. You're a coach, you're a trainer, you're a consultant, you're a network marketer. More importantly, you are a small business owner. So this piece, this one is for you. We're going to show you how do you monetize your expertise. How do you monetize your own personality? How do you monetize being authentic? And how do you monetize it through a systematic approach that doesn't really cost you more money, but it brings you in more money? Now think about what that's going to mean to you. We're going to talk about that today. I can't reason. This is just 7 reasons why you should at least start a podcast. Now, this is probably one of the at least top 3 reasons, is that it's cheap and easy marketing. Think about this, cheap and easy marketing. Does that even go together? Can you have like cheap and easy marketing? I don't think so, but you can when you build an audience on autopilot. And we're going to walk you step by step through how you can do that. And number 6, when you start a podcast, it allows you to have different points of view. So you have your view, you have an opportunity to interview other folks, you have an opportunity to step in front of other individuals and bring them to the table. So not only is it your view, because you have your own view of the world, but there are other folks as well. I mean, I can't wait to share with you those. And for many of you, this is a question that has to be on top of your mind, at least over the last 18 months. If you didn't jot anything else down, please jot this down in your notes. Build an online community. How do you build a community of folks who have the exact problem that you're looking to solve? And today, we're going to talk about that. That's what starting a podcast is all about. That's what having an audience autopilot is all about. It's about attracting the right folks. A good podcast, though, isn't about just starting one. A good podcast needs focus. You need to know exactly why you would start it. Number 2, what you would say. And number 3, how you're going to monetize it. Jot that down in your notes. Number 1, who you're going to target. Number 2, what you're going to say. Jot it down in your notes. And number 3, how you're going to monetize it. So you will need focus. Let me share the golden nugget I want you to start with. Start your podcast with a long-term view, but have in mind first building a community. And I just want to thank you for being here. I want to acknowledge you for doing it. Jot this down in your notes so it helps you understand the topic that you're going to choose as they're taking photos. Look at them taking photos of me. Hi. I'm saying hello to my mom. No, I'm joking. They're taking great photos. They're just wonderful folks. I appreciate all of you. Just be careful with the cameras, though. I don't want too many lights in my face. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking as they're doing that. Golden nuggets, golden nuggets. Okay, so let's start with the podcasting topics. You're out there right now. You say, okay, Shay, I understand how I can generate more qualified leads. Shay, I have something to say. Shay, I'm an expert at what I do. Now, what do I talk about? I mean, share me some best practices. And I know when we first started, the 10-minute sales podcast, 10 minutes to double your sales podcast. And if you haven't already registered for that, we'll put it up a little later on. You go to 10minutesales.com, just T-E-N, minute, M-I-N-U-T-E, sales.com. I'll show that in a little while longer, but it's 10, T-E-N, because some of you don't want to wait. Minute, M-I-N-U-T-E, sales.com. I'm going to come back to that, and we're going to talk about what you need to talk about. But first, I don't want you to wait. I want to give you 6 ideas that you can use right now for your podcast that you can start with. Now, first of all, I already told you it's cheap and easy. Number 2, I told you get to have your personality. Number 3, you get to be yourself, and you're going to get in front of bigger audiences. Do I need to share anything else? But you're here. You showed up. And part of life is just showing up. Part of life is being here. Are you ready to build an audience over 10,000 qualified leads? Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Are you ready to step up from where you are now to where you need to go? Then we're going to show you step by step on how to do that. Here are 6 ways to do that. Number 1 is start with your passion. Your passion. I love what Martin Seika says. Martin Seika from out there in Texas says, passion never sleeps. So what is it that's inside of you? I have a passion. I have a mission. I've been given this gift, and that's to help sales professionals make more sales with less effort. And I'm passionate about that. Not about selling people, not about being arm twisted, not about being manipulative. No. But how can they be of service? It's a passion I have. And what I'm finding out sometimes talking to entrepreneurs is they have a resistance on sales. And that's causing them not to be able to generate the revenue they want in their business. Just like you may have a resistance on podcasts, although it's one of the lead generation tools that can bring in qualified leads. Okay, so what do I want you to do? I want you to embrace selling. I want you to embrace your passion, but I'm going to tell you to embrace selling. That's my passion, embrace selling. Now, why should you do that? Because we all recognize that we have to sell. Okay, think about it like this. Great teachers sell education. Great preachers sell faith. Great parents sell values. Great entrepreneurs sell how they solve problems. So number 1, start with your passion. Number two, look for people and give them what they want. Look for problems that exist out there and give them what they want. Give the people what they want. Jot this down, this is so important. I don't want you to miss this. Look, this one idea can make a difference for you, and here it is. People will pay you today if you give them a reason to pay you today. And so we have to help them solve a problem. Someone jot that down in your notes, please. Put that in your notes. People will pay you today if you help them solve a problem today. We're in the problem-solving business. The next idea is you can borrow ideas from other folks. So you can go study some of the best, and this is called being a reporter, and then you can come back and you can share those ideas with someone else. Now, you're not stealing the ideas, but you say, look, this is a podcast. So I want to learn the best practices, and once I learn the best practices, I'm going to share them with other folks. Number 4 is you can talk about what's trending. Now, I know just recently I was having a conversation with someone, and they were really struggling in their business, and they wanted to generate more leads. In fact, we had talked about building an audience on autopilot. And I said, let me share what's trending right now. And I talked about social selling. Now, I talked about how you could use podcasts for social selling, which is being able to sell online. And I introduced the idea of having social media sales scripts. Now, think about this. It's trending right now, social media. Now, if you got your hands on some long-lost audio file or video file, and social media is no longer in, hey, congratulations to you. But right now, we're live. We're here. You're with me, and I'm with you. And it is trending. So I talked about having social media sales scripts. I talked about social media selling. And then I bundled that into our 10minutesales.com podcast. I'm going to show you that link in just a minute, I believe. And they're back there taking some wonderful folks. Hey, shout out to all the folks and all the work they're doing back there. We certainly appreciate them. And you can do the same. What's trending? Number 5 is ideas for an episode. So you can take all the topics you've learned and you can use those towards ideas. And number 6, and this is very important, you've got to keep your content current and relevant. Keep your content current and relevant. And when you do that, those are 6 ideas that you can use to say, what should I talk about? I was working with a client recently looking at starting their podcast. I'm not going to mention their name. And they're really good. They've been in the industry now for over 5 years. And they're focused on one area, and that is financial management, to help people achieve wealth in their life or in their business. And we were talking about the idea of having an audience autopilot system, in this case, a podcasting system. and they were struggling with what they should talk about. I shared these 6 ideas. They picked one of them. I'm not going to tell you which one they picked. And it's made a huge difference for them and attracting qualified folks who had the problem. See, I said it's not about what you want to talk about. It's about who has a need, want, or desire that you can help solve. Now, some of you're going to do a podcast because you just want to give back. You want to pay it forward. You want to keep it current. You want to help someone else, and that's fine. And there's others of you out there, you're an entrepreneur. You're a business owner. You're like, well, Shay, how can I do this, and how can I still monetize it? And I'm so glad you're here. I just want to step back, and let's just do a quick review. There's a lot that we just covered over these 6 ideas, and we're going to just do a quick review of exactly step by step some real key ideas that you'll need. Number 1 is you want to brainstorm a list of possible topics. So first you want to be looking at what you love to talk about, what your audience is interested in. And this is another one. What podcasts, yes, Shay, what podcasts are popular in the market? And the last one is we do a recap and you say, Shay, I've heard about this. I just didn't know really what to say. Is what topics are hot and relevant? What topics are hot and relevant right now? And that's important. That's key. And that's so important. So I just want to just acknowledge you for doing that. The next idea I want to share with you is I want to share with you 6 ways for you to have a successful podcast. Let me give you 6 ways, not 5, not 4, not 3, but 6 ways for you to have a successful podcast. Now that you know what a podcast is, now that you know what you're going to talk about, and then now we're going to talk about what are 6 ways that you can have a successful podcast. And I just want to say hello to all you folks that are out there that are joining, that are watching right now, that have tuned in. Again, thank you so much. I'm going to actually take this and pay it forward with someone else. Take this message and pay this forward with someone else right now. So let's give you 6 ways to do that. And a shout out to Trevor, Otts, and a shout out to Melissa as well. Shout out for everyone that brings this together. They're back there taking wonderful photos of me and photo shots of you and just making sure everyone is so happy today. And so we're very, very thankful. I don't know what Trevor's doing. Don't call his name. I don't want him to come run up and he's gonna interrupt what's going on. Okay, let's get back to our regularly scheduled time here, which is how do you build an audience on autopilot? So the next idea I want you to say is this. You have to know your podcasting schedule. Now, when I first started 10 Minutes to Double Sales, I had an idea. That's I wanted a podcast that folks could listen to that was relevant. But I was thinking, what was the schedule? And I said, well, first I want everything in less than 10 minutes. And then I said, I want to go daily. I want to go like every single day, which is, woo, how do you go every single day? And they told me I was crazy. Shay, once a week is fine. I said, no. I want every day. Now, I'm not suggesting you go every day, but jot this down in your notes. You want to be consistent. You want to be consistent. Number 2 idea is to know what time your podcast is going to start or how long you're going to have the podcast. Now, I just told you, I decided on 10 minutes. Why 10 minutes? Because when I looked in the marketplace, a product didn't exist. There wasn't a free resource that gave me 10 minutes. It's 10. Just what I needed right there. I said, you know what? I'm going to create one. I'm going to give the best ideas that you can walk away with. In less than 10 minutes, I'm in your ear, and you can walk off, and you can generate more business. And that was my goal, to solve that problem. Number 3 is when you do have your podcast, please don't wing it. Don't shoot from the hip. Don't shoot from the lip. Don't try to be continuously, spontaneously brilliant. I want you to script your episodes. I want you to know exactly what you're going to say, when you're going to say it, and I want you to know why you're going to say it. So I want you to script your episodes so you know that. Because when you do that, they'll be shorter, they'll be briefer, and you'll be more to the point when you follow a script. The next idea I want you to do right now, some of you right there are thinking, wow, Shay, I like to get a chance to just get a free gift. And you've been out there. You've been listening. You've been right there with me. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take out your cell phone right now because I have a very special gift for you. For those folks that want to generate 10,000 leads on autopilot. For the entrepreneur that's listening right now that's ready to go to another level. For the speaker, for the author, for the coach, for the network marketer that know that this is your time. It costs you nothing. So, okay, first get your cell phone out. Then once you get your cell phone out, I want you to go ahead and text the word podcast. Oh, there you go. Text the word podcast. Now, where do you text that number? You text it to 240-428-6786. 6333. Okay, let me give it to you again. It's a free gift. Now, I could tell you exactly what you're going to get, but I believe that the universe rewards people who take action differently than those that don't. So tonight, today, this afternoon, this morning, whatever time it is for wherever you are right now, you can participate. So take your cell phone out and type in 240, put the phone number in, 428-6333. Text the word POD, P-O-D, CAST. Again, 240-428-6333. Text the word podcast. Now, once you text that word in, we're going to send you the instructions. And look, I can't wait to see you on the other side. I can't wait till you get your gift. No, you probably like, Shay, why are you so excited? Why am I excited? Because what we've done for you, what we've packaged for you, I know what it will do for your business. I know what it'll do for you. And I know the difference it's going to make for you and then over the next 6 months. It's going to be incredible. Okay, the next idea I want to share with you is to have your list of interview questions. Now, one of the benefits here with podcasts is that you don't have to just be there and give some monologue solo, if you will. You don't have to stand up in front of someone and try to give some long dissertation. You can step back and you can have an opportunity to interview other folks. Now, okay, think about this. The value of this. Other folks are being interviewed by you. They're bringing their audience to the podcast. You're bringing your audience. So now there's value for value exchange. And now you're bringing more relevant content to the market. Now, think about, are you doing that today? And if you are, hey, congratulations. But here's the question. Are you doing it consistently? And if you're not, then now is your time to do this. Now I'm going to suggest right now, you just step up. Right now, you can do this. And you take that step forward. And in taking that step forward, you'll find yourself in a position not only to help other people, not only to serve, but to bring a message that other people did. So now you are helping other folks. Number 5 is just to check in, just to make sure that whatever material you're using, if it's copyrighted, that you're giving the right to other folks, at least acknowledging the material that you're using. So don't take someone else's material. Now, I'm not saying you're going to do this, but sometimes people don't check to see if it's copyrighted material. They think they can go just download an article off someone else's blog and then they can go use it. I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting if you do that, just give credit. Now, I'm sure you wouldn't. Some of you are like, oh, Shay, thanks for that reminder, because I don't do that purposely. Sometimes I just forget. And if that's you, no problem. But here's idea number 6. And I want you to listen closely like you haven't listened at all. Man, like if you tuned out, tune in like right now. Come back, be present right now. What I'm talking about, this is not a time for you to be on Facebook or to be on Twitter. If you have your computer, just stay focused on what I'm sharing with you right now. And you can get back to the other stuff later because this is very important to you. Some of you, that's all you need is more qualified leads. But I want you to remember this. Remember that practice makes perfect. That's right. Practice makes perfect. And sometimes when I'm working with clients, they're like, Shay, I need like instant results. I need to happen like right now. And while it can happen, I want you to know this, that results take as long as results take. How long do results take? That's right. Results take as long as results take. And sometimes you get paid today, and sometimes you get paid tomorrow. But when you take the right actions, you always, always get the right results. But here's what you forget sometimes, that practice makes perfect. And you probably heard this, that consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. Having said that, what do most people struggle with? You're right. They struggle with consistency. Not you anymore, because you now have a step-by-step formula that you can use not only to build your audience on autopilot, but also do it a second time or third time. You have a system you can do over and over and over and over again. And that's what makes this so powerful. It's an infrastructure. It's a system. And how many ideas do you need to change your life anyway? Think about that. How many ideas do you really need to change just in this conversation that you and I are having? And the obvious answer is 1. That's right. 1 good idea implemented is better than 1,000 ideas you know right now. So what I'm going to do is not only share 1 idea, but I'm going to share 7 steps to actually setting up your podcast. Okay, now you know what it is. You know what you can say. You've got the best ideas of putting together the right structure. Now we got to move a little bit too and say, okay, Shay, what are 7 steps? I'm ready to get going. I'm ready to study. I'm ready to go, go, go. Now is your time. Let's go ahead and give those 7 steps to him, please. Number 1 is start with your format. What is the format of the episodes? They call it the run sheet, if you will. Will it be one where you're always interviewing? Will the format be that you interview one week, the next week you provide content, the next week you do questions and answers? We've got to decide on the format you can use. Now, it doesn't really matter. You might say, Shay, is one format more successful than another one? No. Well, I take it back. If you talk to 10 experts, you get 20 answers. But you might want to take it from a. Now, the one microphone I suggest is a Blue Yeti. You can spell that B-L-U Yeti, Y-E-T-I. Blue Yeti. Now, why do you want that? Well, because it gives you good sound. That's the number one reason why, right? I don't know. At least today's market, it's about $125. You can get it at Amazon.com. I don't make any money off that, by the way. But why do you want that? Because think about this. For most of you podcasting, we'll talk about video. Most of you be doing it through audio. And it's very important to be able to, that's right, hear you clearly as you're speaking. Number 3 is make sure we put together all the essentials before we get started, because as you get started, you're going to have to gravitate into number 4, and you have to record your podcast. Now, there's a lot of ways to do it. For most of you, you have a computer. Now, look, it still works. There's a lot of fancy equipment you can purchase. Let me tell you where we started. Okay, we started with just a computer. So you can have whether it's a MacBook Pro, of course I'm biased towards a MacBook Pro, or a PC. They still work. You can use that, and then inside each one has their own recording mechanism. Now, on MacBook Pro, which I'm a fan of, I kind of like QuickTime. And I think you can download QuickTime, I believe, for the PC. They probably have some Windows Media Player where you can do your recording. So you can keep it really simple, really easy. You're going to plug in your Blue Yeti mic. No software required, by the way. You can get another mic or a headset, if you will, and plug it in. And you're going to be able to do your recording right there on your computer. And you're going to be able to save it. But then there's a second piece, and that's called post-production. This is step number 5. So after you record it, what happens next? Now, I'm glad you're taking notes. I'm glad you're following along. I'm glad I could just share this content. This helped us ourselves have over 10,000 downloads. And think about that. I mean, it's an incredible number. It's not about 10-minute sales. It's about those folks that are tuned in. So post-production means you take what you have. You can either do it yourself, which means you can add an intro. Now, intro means there's some music before you start up. Isn't that pretty cool? And then you can have what's called an outro, which is music when you're in. So when it comes on, just like a TV show or a radio program, there's your music. Dun, 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 dun. I'm joking. Whatever the music is, and then you come in. Now, for some of you that say, I'm not going to do all that. No problem. It's not required. It really isn't. But you can take it, some of you, and you could pay someone, and they can do it for you. And it's a nominal fee. You can find that. But I at least want to make you aware of what you can do and what's called post-production. Some things you can do. All right, step number 6 is posting your podcast up. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. There's a lot of different systems that you can use. One system is called Lisbon, Libsyn.com. And you can go to Lisbon and you can load your podcast up. I'm going to go in detail in a minute. And that's one. Another one is iTunes. So you can use iTunes, which I'll come back to. Another one is Stitcher. It's another system. So once you've recorded your podcast, you have it done, post-production or no post-production, you've got to then take it and post it somewhere where others can get access to it. And in some cases, it will be free. In other cases, they may have paid for it, and we'll talk about that. And then step number 7, it's the most important step. It really is. I mean, I want to spend some time on step number 7 because for some of you, well, I'll just say it for you. For you, the speaker, you pay, please don't miss this. Pay attention. The coach out there, whether you're a life coach or a business coach or a health coach or a financial coach, please, I want you to pay really special attention. Or if you're a trainer or if you're a consultant, I want you to really listen in. So everyone get focused, come back right now and get tuned in. And let's talk about a couple things that you can do. Number one is you've got to think about how you're going to market your podcast and how you're going to get listeners. Now, I'll say it again. You got to market your podcast. That means you got to tell people that it exists so that you can get listeners. Now, how do you do that? There's a couple of ways. One way you can do that is you can do it through email. Okay, duh, Shay, I get that. How can I be effective? Well, one way you can be effective is to be able to share your podcast out and give value so folks can at least get an experience of it. You can do it through text messages. Okay, I got that, Shay. You can do it through joint ventures where you can partner with other folks. You can do it that way as well. See, there's a lot of ways you can get your message out, but what you need is you need listeners. Now, one of the suggestions I make to folks is that when they're doing their interviews, they look at folks who already have a list. Because if I'm bringing on Shay Brown or Trevor Otts and they have an audience, now they're on my show, they're sending my email to their audience. Then that's not a new idea. You're not gonna be like blown away, Shay Brown. You're not gonna be blown away, but it is an idea that will put money in your pocket and it will help you attract listeners in. And that's gonna be very, very important to a number of you that are watching and listening right now. Number two, just another idea, is think about the directories you're gonna use. Now, I mentioned a couple of directories because they were very important to me. One of the directories that I mentioned that I want to make sure that you really have tuned in is I want to make sure that you are tuned in to the directory of Stitcher. Because Stitcher, SoundCloud, and iTunes. I'm going to give you three. Pay attention. Jot these three down in your notes. Stitcher, which is primary in the beginning, it was targeting really the Android phone, if you would. And it's a great, great, great resource. That's a directory. Another one is iTunes, which was an Apple product, but now you can play on both platforms. They're kind of going back and forth now. And then a third one is SoundCloud. SoundCloud. So now you have a directory. So every time you record something, it goes into a directory that other folks can access. Now, how do they access it, you might be saying? I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you're paying attention. There's something called an RSS feed. Now, with the RSS feed, what that allows is once you've loaded it up into the directory, it gives you a little link. Now, okay, it sounds really simple, and it is. But that link is the RSS feed that allows people to be able to get access to your audio, and that's really, really important. And now you go into a podcast network where other folks can tune in and get access to your podcast. See, it's not about the people you know today. It's about this one distinction. Jot this down in your notes, please. The list of people who don't know you right now, I'll say it again, the list of people who don't know you right now is so much longer than the list of people who do know you. So we've got to now tap into other networks to share our information, to share what we do. One of the benefits that I recently seen with our 10-minute to double sales podcast is we were able to record the podcast, we were able to transcribe it, and then we were able to turn the podcast into a video podcast. Now, the good news about podcasts, it doesn't have to be an audio. For some of you, it can be a video. So you can still take your phone and you can video record your podcast. And this is really important. This is really good because you want to build an audience on autopilot. You want to get in front of people who have a problem and you want to share how you solve it. And this is just one of the ways to do that. Another way to get started is to stream on social media. So you're going to take the social media platforms and you're going to stream your podcast out. The next idea is to promote within your podcast. So oftentimes while you're on your podcast, I oftentimes will share an event that's coming up. I may talk about other opportunities that are going on. So I'm able to promote within the podcast. The next idea is by having folks make appearances or you making appearances on other podcasts. I was working with someone recently, and they're a coach, and they were talking to me about how they wanted to be a speaker, and they speak as part of their business. And I shared with them the whole podcast community. And I said, have you reached out to folks in the podcast community yet? They said, no, why would I do that? I said, because it's an opportunity for you to connect and share your level of expertise. And have you created your own podcast community? And the answer was no. So think about this. As part of this strategy, they can either speak live or do a conference call or perhaps a webinar. And those still work, but there was this whole virtual platform that's being left completely off the platform. As a result of her taking a step and open up her podcast, she's now generating qualified leads. I got a call from her recently. And it looks like there's a big deal on the table. Big deal for her is over $10,000. Result of a lead that came in through a podcast. Ladies, I want you to know this. You can do this. I mean, as you're sitting there right now, your mindset might be like, it sounds a little techie, Shay. No, 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 no. You can do this. The next idea is to optimize your podcast. So how do you take the podcast you have, and then how do you take it to an entirely different level? The next idea, and I want you to jot this down in your notes, please, please put this in your notes. Don't miss this, is leverage your podcast to benefit your business. We're going to talk about that. How do you leverage the podcast? So with 10-Minute Sales Podcast, I'm able to take the topics that we've talked about and leverage how I'm solving problems. I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. As you embrace sales, it's so important that people will pay you today if you help them solve a problem today. And so one of the problems you can solve is you can make it available as folks as they're out there, as they're driving in traffic, they can listen to your podcast. We created a 10-minute podcast. I wanted something short and simple. I recognize a number of my clients will be driving around. They're going to have many distractions. But imagine someone's riding around and not listening to your voice, but they're listening to your subject matter expertise. You're changing lives. You're making a difference. Another benefit as you get started with the podcast is you have an opportunity to make exclusive offers inside of the podcast. Now, this is really important because you're on your podcast and you're there to give value, but inside there for that community, oh, excuse me, and that community of folks is there, it allows you to do exactly what you're doing and then make offers inside of the podcast. And you can do that. You can do that. The next idea is to get your listeners involved. So one of the things I like to do with the podcast, and I shared this with someone else, and they have a financial planning company as well, but they also have a technology company. And I said, one of the things you can do is you can have a private Facebook group. You can have your listeners, as you're talking to them, send in their questions. They can do it through a Facebook group. They can do it through a chat. They can do it through Skype. They can email you. They can text you. But get them involved. Find out what's on their mind. Interview your listeners. Now, okay, you're like, Shay, I got a whole lot of ideas here. Yeah, you do. But I want you to know this. This is how you build your audience on autopilot. Because now your listeners are telling other listeners. The next slide, which I think they're going to show you for just a moment here, is make it informative. Make it informative. And by making it informative, it's something that they can listen to a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. And I'm going to ask them to show you that slide, to put that slide up there. And, you might be thinking that that's a real simple slide, but the reality is it's not. Because sometimes it's easy to do, and it's easy not to do. And so we want to make sure that every single time that we are not just pushing out information. No, we're making it informative. We're using our best ideas, sharing them with someone so they can make their life better, make their business better, improve the quality of their relationship, have better health, or just be able to live their life with passion. You might be saying, Shay, that's a whole lot. What does that have to do with sales? It has nothing to do. It has to do with you being a subject matter expert, you attracting qualified leads, and you solving problems so you can generate leads, so you can then set appointments, which you can do right through the podcast, and then you being able to convert folks who have an interest in your products or your services. The next idea is to boost your production values. And this is something that we've been working on as a company at Peak Performance Institute. And hence, here we are broadcasting to you live today and say, how can we make the production a better experience? You can do that by having the right microphone. You can do that by sending out to have music before you start and after you end. You can do that by asking questions. See, there's a lot of things you can do, and it doesn't always cost you. Why? Because it's an investment. It's an investment in your business to help solve problems. And I'm a firm believer in that. The next idea is you can just get on the radio. So now you have an opportunity to get on a blog show. You can get on a regular radio station, and you now can share your message with other folks and say, look, I've got this podcast. I've got a way of delivering content. I've got some ideas that I can use. Not one time, but many times over and over and over and over again. Now, you've been waiting for this, and now it's here. I love that slide, man. You've been waiting on this, and now it's here. How to monetize your podcast. How to monetize your podcast. Let's talk about how to do that. Number one, I call it pay for the rest. Pay for the rest. What does that mean? Okay, the podcast, let's say, is 10 minutes long, and you have an audience because you built up an audience. You are provided value, and as a result, you have an audience. And you decide after the podcast, you're going to have an extra 5 minutes, and you're going to do a special series. And someone pays for access to your audience. You're not selling your list. You probably heard this before. The money is in the list, and that's not the case. The money is in other people's lists. And so now they pay for the second half of the podcast because they have access. The next idea is you can have premium content. So you can say, I'll tell you what, at level 1, it's free. No cost. I'm giving you all of my ideas, what you can do to be successful. But some folks, they want a VIP treatment. They know there's an advanced level. I'm like that sometimes. I don't know if you're like that sometimes when I go to events and they have a VIP level. I like that because, not because I want to spend extra money or swipe my credit card for more. No, it's because I like to be around those folks when it makes sense for me economically, obviously. They have the same desires I have. They have big goals. They have big dreams. And every day they get up to do the best they can to achieve those dreams. The next idea is to have sample episodes. So you take some of the episodes and you send them out as samples. The next idea is to get sponsors. So you go out there, you find people, hey, you have an interest in helping business owners. You might be thinking, well, Shay, how do I get a sponsor? Like, really, Shay, I hear about that, but how do I get a sponsor? Here's the answer. You go to them, you say, Mr. or Miss Sponsor, guess what? And they say, what? You say, I have your customer. Ha ha! You what? I have your customer. I have a community of speakers, of authors, or trainers, or whatever your target audience is. See, jot this down in your notes, please. Put this in your notes. Someone right now has the goal of finding you. Put that in your notes. Someone right now has the goal of finding you. And that's what you can do right now. Isn't that pretty cool? So you get sponsors. It works. And many of you can take these podcasts that you're creating. Because one of the challenges some folks have is they say, I don't have any content. Okay. It's almost impossible to have content. You have content here. Every day you're creating content. Now, you might have taken that content and packaged it in a way that someone else could benefit from it. But think about this. In these United States of America, or I believe across this country, we're always looking for a way to do something easier, something faster, something to make our life simple. So you can take the podcast and you can package that. So you do a 4-part series on goal setting, a 5-part series on time management. You bundle that together, and that's your goal setting time management product. Just an idea. If others have done it, so can you. And the next idea is we're coming down the home stretch. It's a simple idea, but yet it's a very powerful idea, and I don't want you to miss this. Is you can take your content and you can repurpose your podcast to create all new content. Okay, think of that. You had a 4-part series on goal setting. And you take that 4-part series and you repurpose that, and that becomes a jumpstart way to achieve your goals. Now, I'm not saying that's what you're going to do, but the good news is it's not like you just took the content from where? Here. It's all right between your ears, and you shared it out there, and then you bring it back, and you share maybe a different perspective. See, we all have our own view of the world, and that's one of the benefits. I mean, I have a different view of the world. You have a different view of the world. My mother has a different view of the world. So now we're sharing our views. We're sharing our perspectives. And then we can take that and we can repurpose it. We can bundle it back together. So you say, how do I do that? Well, number one is you can turn your podcast into text. So you can take the words that you just used, you can send it to a transcriber and turn it into a text document. And that text document can become a blog. It can become a source for other articles. And that's a good way. I mean, and that's the best use of your time. The next idea that you could use is you can create new articles. So the content, as I said, becomes different articles or different sound bites that you use, and you become a content provider. And in becoming a content provider, using podcasts as the starting ground, you move to something and you start getting paid. What would it feel like right now if you got paid to share your experience? What would it feel like right now if you knew you were helping someone else? See, these are just a couple of things you can do to monetize it. And you can take the video and turn it into audio. So now we have the reverse. You took a video, you've turned it into audio, you've turned it into an article, you've turned it into a program. And we teach this, and this is important. And now this becomes something that you take to the marketplace. And you have your what? Look at that screen. You have your what? You have your information products. That's right, your information products. And that's a way to get started. And that's the way you're generating leads. That's the way that you're solving problems. And think about your pipeline right now. At least that's what we call it as entrepreneurs. And you just had this new idea. It wasn't even on your plan for this year. And you're here, and again, there's nothing more powerful than a good idea whose time has come. You say, Shay, I need to do that. But I know it, but I haven't. But today is your day that you can do it. And I'm so glad you're here. I'm just so excited because you can take all of your content and break them up into little bits and pieces and share that message with the world. Or you can take it to bits and pieces, bring it back together, whoop, and have one big solution. Let me just do a quick recap as we share the golden nuggets. The golden nuggets is to make a list of ways that you can plan to repurpose your podcast. A couple of things we talked about. Number one, you can transcribe them. Number two is you can be a series of articles. Number three is you can use them for videos. Number four, there's bonuses. And there's many other things you can do. And this is all happening on autopilot. It happens one time, but then you have the multiplier of time. That means that you do something one time, maybe it takes you an hour, and then 10,000 folks hear that 1 hour. That's 10,000 hours you receive from that 1 hour. That's the multiplier of time. And you can do that. So what I like to do right now is share with you how this can work for you. And I'm 100% confident you're listening. You might be wondering, Shay, will this work for me? Will this help me? Is there a system to really generate massive profits and position myself as an expert? Is that even possible that I can generate 10,000 leads on autopilot? And the answer is yes. I just walked you step by step how not only we've done it, how others have done it, but now how you can do it. And here's what I want you to know. If someone else has done it, you can do it. If someone else has done it, you can what? You can do it as well. So what I have to do right now is just extend a very special invitation for you and I to stay in this conversation over and beyond today. If you'd be able to take your business to an entirely different level, a level you never even imagined was possible. I mean, I want you to imagine for a moment. Just step back and imagine and think about how much extra income do you believe you could earn over the next 12 months by just improving your systems? Just jot that number down. Whatever that number is it $10,000, $20,000, $50,000? And here's what I want you to know. From the bottom of my heart, I want you to know this. I believe, whatever number you've written down, go ahead and write it down. You didn't write it down? Write it down now. You just thought about it. Okay, I get it. You just thought about it. That's fine. Whatever number popped in your head, maybe it's $100,000. I don't know. But here's what I believe, and here's what I can tell you for sure, that you're capable of 4 times the amount of whatever number you wrote down. You wrote down $25,000. I believe you could earn an extra $100,000. With the right system, with the right structure, you can do it over and over and over again. So let me just extend a special invitation to talk about how you can do that over and beyond today. And I'm going to be introducing you to our Instant Podcast Pro system. Now, in this system, you might be asking yourself, okay, Shay, where can I go to just see the system? I don't even want to wait around, Shay. I'm ready right now. You can head on over if you want to buypodcastpro.com. Again, buypodcastpro.com. And here is exactly what is included in the Instant Podcast Pro system. Let me walk you by step what's included. Pay close attention. I got a very special offer. I can't wait to get to the end. I mean, okay, I can't wait. I can't wait. Now, this is a 3-part series, Instant Podcast Pro system. So we broke it down to 3 separate parts that we're going to bring all together for you. Oh, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. I just can't wait. Okay, first, let's start off with the Podcast Assistant. Now, you might be wanting to say, what's the Podcast Assistant? It's valued at $1,997. Here's what's included in the podcast system. And we'll show that to you so you can see that. Number one, it's called a step-up and go system. First, we create your podcast checklist. So you have a checklist of exactly what you need to get started with your podcast. And then we talk about what makes a good podcast. The podcast system is going to do that for you. And then we find your podcast topic. This is a done-for-you solution. And then we identify your target audience, and we help you create your ideal listener. The podcast assistant has its all-star branding package. Let me share what's included in that. First, okay, we're gonna help you name your podcast. Okay, you need that. Oh, you can see that. That's great. We can help you create your logo. Now, here's what's really cool. Inside of iTunes, inside of Stitcher, inside of SoundCloud, you need your logo. You need your brand. We gotta take the brand to an entirely different level. So we will create the artwork for you and your podcast. And we'll help you decide on the format of your podcast. And then we're going to determine the consistency of when your podcast should play. As I bring you back to me for just a moment, I just want you to know that the podcast assistant, for some of you, is all that you need. It's your step up and go. But more importantly, the podcast assistant is going to help you with your media hosting. Okay, we're going to help you create your account so you have your hosting up and going. We're going to set up a podcast settings. Now, we've got to add the title. We've got to have the description. There's got to be keywords. There's got to be the artwork. But then we'll also help you upload and schedule and publish. Now, again, this is a step up and what? Go. Step up and what? Go. So we'll help you set up your iTunes submission. You've got to get it approved, but we'll help you line it up for you. And then we'll set up your Stitcher. Then we talked about Stitcher earlier and the importance of that. So that's improved. And then we also set up your SoundCloud. Now, this is the podcast assistant. Now, this is exactly what you need right now. This is everything you need right now to be successful, to generate leads on autopilot. The total value of this is $1,997. But now we'll talk about podcasts in a box. Podcast in the box is valued at $1,997. Let's walk you through these. They can keep these up and just walk you through that. The podcast in the box is your marketing campaign. Just jot that down in your notes, your marketing campaign. And we'll talk about the top strategies to increase your podcast audience. We'll create intros and outros. Now, we talked about that earlier, the importance of that, creating intros and outros, and how to be a guest on other shows. That's right, how to be a guest on other shows. Now, Podcast in the Box doesn't stop there. This is the most comprehensive audience autopilot program I know on the planet. Why? Because it's the only one. Podcast in the Box, social media strategies, just to get the word out. So you can automate your social media, your Twitter strategies, your Facebook strategies, your LinkedIn strategies, your Instagram strategies, and more importantly, your Pinterest strategies. Now, you might be wondering, okay, Shay, Podcast in the Box, there's a lot here. Just follow along. It's your whole marketing campaign. So now you have your newsletters. You can nurture folks. You get a link to your show. So you have what's called a notes page. Now, you want a notes page because that's where you drive people to. You can use the content for a blog on your website. You can have press releases, or you can just set up your online communities. Podcast in a Box. I so wish they had this when I first started, but it didn't exist. Hence why Team PPI decided to create this. The third piece that I want to share with you is the podcast profits. Now, this is really for the entrepreneur. This is for the speaker. It's for the author. It's for the coach. It's for the network marketer. It's for the person who's serious and motivated and ready to really build their audience. They're ready to grow their list. They want to build their database. They want to find high qualified buyers. So let's walk them through these 9 ways to profit from your podcast. I can't go through all of them, but you can see them. They're going to hold it there for you. You can see it and listen very closely. 1, we're going to teach you how to monetize your Audible podcast programs, how to monetize your podcast affiliate relationships, how to monetize your podcast via products and services, or how to monetize your podcast via speaking. And now this is new, but this is so important. I can't believe they put this in here, but I'm just really glad they did. And that's how do you monetize your podcast in your coaching practice? The podcast profit system is like none that exists on the planet. Once you do that, then we'll take it to the next level, which is how to monetize using masterminds, books, joint ventures. More importantly, we talked about this earlier, and this is so important, sales copy. Oh, I'm really biased. Okay, but it's really how you're going to close sponsors. Jot it down in your notes. If you don't remember anything else I said on this part, close sponsors. So first you got to have prospecting for close sponsors. Then you got to prospect warm sponsors. And then you have to follow up with folks to be able to close the deals. And then you need the top secrets to really close each podcast. And I'm really, really, really pleased with that. So all this comes, and that's the podcast in a box with our 4-week webinar system. And so now, over the next 4 weeks, you and I and the team get to stay in this conversation, build your podcast from where it is now, taking it to an entirely different level. And for some of you, it's just about getting started. Like this is the very first time, so you're just getting started. And that'll be important. Now you might say, Shay, what's the total value of the Instant Podcast Pro system? Okay, $7,988. That's the total value of the Instant Podcast Pro system, $7,988. And I would sleep well at night. I mean, I would sleep well on my pillow at night if we sold it for $20,000. But you know, we're famous for irresistible offers. But I do want you to know this podcast comes with a 100% money back guarantee. And here's how the money back guarantee works. We're going to let you test drive this. We're going to let you get started. If you say, Shay, this is not for me, it just doesn't work, just call our office and one of our friendly staff will just give you money back. We'll give you 30 days. Then you got 30 days. Let us get started. If you're not happy for whatever reason, just call our office and one of our friendly staff will take care of that. But today, I'm famous for what? Irresistible offers. So today we have a very special offer. For anyone who wants to get started, it's not going to cost you $7,988. You can start today for $497. So the special investment one time is $497. So you pay one time and you never pay again. But wait, there's more. For the first 50 folks who are watching right now, I'm only speaking to the first 50. I'm only speaking to you right now. For those that are watching right now, we're going to do something very, very special. We've got 4 fast action bonuses for you right now. 4 fast action bonuses. Bonus number 1 is a ticket to our 1-day ultimate podcasting secrets workshop. Oh, you're going to love this. If you've never been, the value of that loan is $3,997. I can't wait. I'm going to be there personally. I'm going to be teaching the course. It's going to be incredible. I have Trevor Otts there. It's going to be a blast. If you can't make it live, you can watch online. Bonus number 2, fast action bonus, valued at $997, is our toolkit of jaw-dropping convert techniques. Now, these techniques, you got some good stuff already. You have everything you need already, but I can't wait for some of you that's going to be joining us over there, the first 50. It's going to be incredible. And then bonus number 3, a $697 membership to our private podcast profits mastermind group, where we can network with other folks and build your podcast. And then the last bonus is a one-on-one session with myself. You and I will sit down, we'll purposely take a look at where you are, make sure it's a good fit. I'm going to be there, and so my commitment is you have me, Shay Brown, only for those first 50 people. I cannot take more than 50. 50 was a really big push, but this is such an incredible offer. I knew for most of you, this is exactly what you needed to get started. And so now you and I have a chance to get going, get your podcast up and running, build your audience, grow your list, get in front of qualified prospects so you can generate massive profits. And so you and I, we'll get together and we'll have a conversation around sales, around success, around structure, around systems. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited, looking forward to working with the first 50 folks that are already over. Some of you are already over there at buypodcastprofits.com. So let me do a summary as they show you there, buypodcastprofits.com. You see that right below, buypodcastprofits.com. Let's show them the summary here of what they're going to get. Here's the summary. You're going to get the Podcast Pro 3-part series valued at $7,988. You get the 1-day podcast workshop valued at $3,997. And you get the podcasting toolkit valued at $997. And then our podcast mastermind and coaching session valued at $1,194. The total value of this entire package is about a shade over $14,000. But again, at our company, We believe in rewarding people who take action. The universe rewards people who take action differently than those that don't. Heck, the bonuses alone are valued over $6,000. But today I said we had a very special offer, and I can't wait to share that with you. And I'm going to go ahead and share that with you right now. Oops, what the special offer is. Now I let the cat out the bag already, right? The special offer today is how much? $497 one time. $497 one time. Or we've got an easy way for you to manage your cash flow. And here's how you can do that. You can put down $125 today, and then you have 4 equal payments of $125. Now, where do you go to do that? You go to buypodcastpro.com. Again, www.buy, there it is right there, podcastpro.com. And when you get over there, you'll see the very special offer. We put together the whole package. You're going to be able to receive our notes. You'll be able to get the audio series. You'll be able to work with the podcast assistant. We'll be able to pull together everything you need in order to be successful at www.buypodcastpro.com. Again, www.buypodcastpro.com. And let's think about the worst case scenario. Let's say you take a step. You're already over there at buy, and they'll show that to you in a minute, buypodcastpro.com, and you take a step. Okay, it's a very secure site. You put in your first name, you put in your last name, you enter your credit card in. You take a step, and you decide to get your podcast set up. You say, you know what, Shay? I tried this, and it didn't work. It's not for me. Worst case scenario is what? We give you your money back. Worst case scenario. But let's talk about the best case scenario. Best case scenario, you take a step. You're over there down at buypodcastpro.com, and should you do it, should you not do it, you put your money in. Best case scenario, you generate 1 qualified lead. You close 1 deal, and it pays for this program 100 times over or 1,000 times over. And there's a lifetime benefit because you have this podcast for the rest of your life. Now, some of you, you're going to be in business another 5 years. Some of you another 10 years. Some of you 10 plus years. And I want you to imagine 5 years from now, 10 years from now, your content's there. Your information products are selling. And the money is rolling into your bank account month after month after month. There's extra $5,000 or $10,000 in your pocket. Here's the question. How is your life going to be different? What are you going to do with the extra money? Perhaps you'll build your cash reserves. Some of us have to do that. We spend some cash reserves. We got to replenish those. Maybe you pay off credit card debt. Maybe you'll pay your mortgage off. Maybe you send your kids to a school of their choice. Maybe you have peace of mind. Maybe you cover family situations. Folks look to you. And so maybe you pay someone's health care insurance. Maybe it's not about the money for you. Maybe it's just about the financial freedom. So you make a one-time investment. It pays for itself. And after that, it's all profits for the rest of your life. Now, how do you do that? You head over to buypodcastpro.com. Sorry, www.buypodcastpro.com. Now, there's the hard way. And the hard way, you still be successful. I promise you. You just continue to do what you're doing now. Pretend like you never showed up. You never even heard about a podcast. You arrive, you listen to this. It sounds good. Makes sense. It's going to be profitable, but you decide, I'm going to do it the way I'm doing it now. No big deal. Hey, I didn't bring you here to be here today just to say, go buy podcastpro.com, although I think it's not for everybody, but I believe it's for you. So there's the hard way. Keep doing what you're doing. You will be successful. But here's what I know in my heart of hearts. There's an easy way. There's an easy way. And the easy way is to take a step. Yeah, you got to have some skin in the game. Yes, you got to have a little investment. And yes, you have to take that step. But take that step, and there's an easy way because we've been there and we've done it. And we'll be able to work with you in your company and allow you to be able to generate an audience on autopilot. And that might be a concept you never even heard of. You didn't even think about it before you came here. How do I know that? Because Trevor created it, right? It was a brainchild. So it wasn't even top of mind to you. But you have that distinction now. And a distinction is an understanding beyond common knowledge. And that puts you in a whole different place. So I encourage you to join us. Come on over and join us. Join us over at www.buypodcastpro.com. Again, www.buypodcastpro.com. And I want to thank you for just hanging out, for being in this conversation. I want you to know that that you're a winner, that you're already a champion, that you already have greatness, like deep down inside you. You have an experience. You have a story. I want you to share it. I want podcasts to be one of the ways to do that. You have a message that can impact someone else, that can change your life. I want you to be able to share that as well. You have an area of expertise, knowledge that you've gained, studies that you've been through. So you are a subject matter expert. And I want you to be able to share that as well. And one of the ways to do that is to go over to www.buypodcastpro.com. It's been an honor to serve you today. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you, sharing some content that we've never shared in this format ever. So this is the very first time we've done that, but it's been an honor. It's been a privilege. I close with these comments that I close on our own podcast, as I talked about, 10-Minute Sales Podcast. That I want you to set no limits for yourself. Make no excuses. Never give up. Keep on going, no matter what. Why? Because I believe in you. Why? Because the best is still yet to come. With that being said, my name is Shay Brown, your sales cardiologist. Make it a great day, everyone. And we're going to make good things happen when we connect again next time. I'll see you all soon. Thanks for joining. You're awesome. You're amazing. You're incredible. The best is still yet to come. I'm going to keep on believing in you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Mercy, Jesus. How long?